Shri Sai Ram, offering my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagwan. With great joy and reverence, I have the privilege of introducing today's speaker, Dr. Suma, Associate Professor in the Department of Commerce and Management at Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Anantapur campus. She has been serving our beloved Swami's mission through education since 1998, taking on several leadership roles including Head of the Department and Dean of Commerce and Management. She now continues to guide with her wisdom as the chairperson for the Center for Sri Sathya Sai Studies. Dr. Suma is also an alumni of our Swami's University and was blessed with the all-rounder gold medal by Bhagwan himself in 1990. Her academic journey led her to pursue a PhD on top women executives in India, a study examining work-life balance and gender bias. She has also been recognized with the prestigious Sai Krishna Award for her excellence in teaching. But beyond these achievements, for those of us who have had the fortune of being her students, Suma ma'am is much more. She's very, very friendly, motivating, and a go-to person for many of us. Her classes were not just about academics, but also about life, values, and most importantly, our Swami. Each session with her was something we eagerly look forward to because she would weave in her wonderful personal experiences with Swami that touched and inspired all of us. Today, we all are truly blessed to have Dr. Suma with us to listen, relish, and relive those moments of divine inspiration through her words. Without further delay, I request Dr. Suma to address the gathering. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram, my most humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet, respected elders, my dear students, my father's students also, I must add. Vanakkam to all of you. Sundaram has a lot of deep connection for me, simply because not only that I share my birthday with the building. Sundaram, I think, was inaugurated on 19th January, if I'm right. So was Swami's super specialty hospital in Vrindavan. And whenever these days would come, Swami would go to either Vrindavan, sometimes here too. And I would wonder whether this birthday I'm going to see Swami or not. But in a deeper sense, the building is an edifice which holds God. And I hope that my life remains the same. So today when I was contacted and told that I must speak in Sundaram, so I would first like to thank the organizers who took the trouble to invite me here. Whenever we get an opportunity to speak on Swami, believe me, it kind of triggers a thinking about Swami. You know, then you start remembering small incidents, go back and forth to your own life. And this kind of mananam, if you can call it, is a blessing. And so I'm grateful to the organizers for instigating that, which we otherwise postpone in our so-called busy lives. Having said that, I would also like to put a caveat. Much of what I say, especially personal experience, is repetitive, as I have been reminded by many well-meaning souls. But I always think like this, you know, you have an experience with Swami, but when you return to it at different ages, it's like a diamond with a facet, you know. You learn something new each time yourself. And so I always feel that the luster of his presence is like a cut diamond, there are facets to it. Each time you discover 1 millimeter of it, and there's so much to learn. So I invite you into a short journey of this kind. When I asked the organizers, what would be the topic which people would be interested in? And he said, of course, miracles of Swami, what else? So now that I'm studying Swami's discourses in much more attention than before, I searched for what Swami said about miracles. And Swami, of course, as you all know, is to call miracles his visiting card. But the visiting card becomes a lifeline. Then the lifeline becomes life itself. And finally, it becomes the purpose and meaning of living itself. That is the beauty of Swami's miracles. They change you. I think the greatest miracle of Bhagwan is the transformation of the human soul. I do not think there is anything more grandeur, which has more grandeur or meaning or anything other than that. And he does that for thousands of people who have seen him, not seen him, heard of him. When we hear of some of these miracles which happen, it kind of impresses upon you the grandeur of God, the awesome greatness, what you call, of God. And then he's so personal, so relatable to each individual. So he's really, the smallest of the smallest and the biggest of the biggest. And these subtle truths come so easily in every interaction with Swami. So let's start with the visiting card, the introduction. And I will read out to you first what Swami himself said. And in order to not put any of my own interpretations, I read it directly. This was in Venkatgiri, in the Adhyatmika conference in the year 1959. Swami says, "My path, the path of prema, along which I shall take you, that is why I offer my visiting card to every one of you when you come to me. I know your name, your degrees, your profession, your status, and your history, but you do not know mine. I have no need to know all about you from a perusal of your cards, but I want you to know something of my glory. And so I give you a glimpse of it as Mahima, or divine miracle. But I also give you enough of my prema so that you can mix a little of it with whatever you do, feel, or think, and make it sweet and palatable." The reason why he gives us these small doses of prema is so that we can mix it in our everyday life and feel the sweetness of life itself. In my life, or in our life, Swami came in the early 70s, actually. We had a family friend of ours, the Dore Swamis, and they used to come to Swami in the 50s. So they were the people who gave us the first photograph of Bhagwan, which we hung in our house with mixed emotions since we didn't know. But okay, gods of all kind are welcome. So the photograph was kept. Suddenly, Vibhuti started coming. We didn't know it was Vibhuti, so we dusted it off. We actually cleaned the photograph thinking it is some sort of thing, let's remove it. Till it kept coming. And I remember once my father says that he actually took the photograph down and examined it backward, inward to find out where this powder is coming from. Is something behind the photo? Between the photo? I mean, that's the level at which we approached Bhagwan. But the beauty of Swami is that his kindness is so great. He kind of puts up with a lot of us. What began that time ended up all of us moving to Puttaparthi. And I remember when my father was sick, I think, with some chicken pox kind of thing. And in order to pass the time, he took the Man of Miracles book by Hislop. That one reading changed him completely. My mother, of course, was more the heart person. And so there were a series of experiences which changed her. And then there was only one goal in life, how to reach him. A prayer which my father gave Swami 14 years later fructified in our coming to Puttaparthi. There is a timing for everything. But the longing is good for us because the process of longing purifies us, makes us ready for the presence of God. I think so. That was our introduction to Swami in a very small thing. But some people have dramatic introductions to Swami. And I was reading so many of these stories. There is this story about a village. Swami in the early days used to go around all the small villages. And then in Andhra, and Swami like that went once to a place. And those people were an ardent couple who very devoted to them, had no children apparently, but had a dog, quite like modern times. And this dog died and they were very upset because it's like a child. They had no time to bury it or do whatever they wanted to do because Swami was coming to the village. So they just put it in a basket, I believe, and then they went to meet Swami. Swami immediately noted their crestfallen faces and asked them what was wrong. And when they told, he visited their house, and the story goes on how he resurrected the dog. He just blessed it, and the dog got up, shook, wagged its tail, went and fell at Swami's feet first. And their joy knew no bounds. It was like a child being restored. In my own house, my sister also was on her deathbed when she was a baby. She contracted some kind of loose motion cum infection. The doctors had given up, and Swami miraculously saved her. That's how he made the final entry into our hearts and home. These visiting cards, why are they given? They're given to let you know probably that there's a bigger force in life, and this life can completely change your course. And when you align with such divinity, your life becomes sacred. But that learning comes because we all live with insecurity and fears. For us to trust something, we have to see something bigger. And probably those visiting cards do that for us. But slowly the visiting card becomes our lifeline in problems. Any problem comes, Bhagwan, Swami, Swami. And Swami uses these miracles. Earlier he will save you, that drama brings you. Then comes the schooling. The lessons begin. Usually after the romantic period begins the action of learning. Life itself is a lesson of learning. So, Bhagwan, Swami also often used to say, first test. When the test comes, the revelation comes of what we need to learn. So, I would like now to walk you down some of the schooling lessons that I had and continue to have with Bhagwan. Now, for schooling, we all know, the first thing you should have is some amount of confidence, because if you don't have self-confidence, it's very difficult to learn anything in life. And this is the beauty of Swami. He builds you and challenges you. He holds you from within, but gives you a challenge from outside. Both he does. Like I used to always tell my students, you have a potter's wheel. You put a lump of clay, and what does the potter do? He puts his hand inside to shape the vessel, and from external he puts pressure. Inside also he puts pressure, and between those two hands the vessel takes shape. It's practically what Swami does to us. He supports us from inside in our hearts and creates enough circumstances to test us from the external, and between the two we learn that faith. I remember as a kid, I used to tell my father all the time, why is it all the saints have all the problems in the world? Just look at any saint's life. And my mother used to say, because Swami wants to show how God saves all the saints. You know, from their life drama, you can understand how God saves people. But I used to make a direct correlation that maybe this is not a very good thing. You know, more you come to God, more problems. Doesn't sound good. But they are no longer problems because the experience of it is no longer a problem. I remember when my parents had this huge accident and they had head injuries and everything. My mother was thrilled because the Swami came, gave darshan, and he poured coffee in her mouth. He was all, you know, so much of attention from Bhagwan. And she said, Swami, even if I get 10 more accidents like this, there's no problem. Swami, please, as long as you come to us, it's enough. And you know what Swami said? Swami said, Chudu, kashtamlo sukham undi, sukhamlo kashtam undi, chusava, he said. Meaning to say, in deep pain there is joy, and in joy there is pain. Realize that. Swami would use every event to drive home some eternal truth. Because that's the purpose of life itself, to learn these truths. Now, in terms of schooling, confidence we often build on the basis of ability, physical powers, or position, title, whatever. But Swami's, when Swami talks about confidence, he's always talking about self-confidence or deep confidence in your heart. And so, one of these lessons which came to me like this about confidence was, there was a time when I think teenage is an angst year, whatever people say about teenage, believe me, it's a difficult period. And so, I got into this negative thinking and belief that, you know, when we are not good enough, we don't deserve Swami and all this kind of thing. And we had just done a drama, Swami was giving namaskar, and I didn't take namaskar. You know, call it inverted pride. You know, I thought, no, I don't deserve, I will sit here only kind of thing. Everyone took namaskar and I didn't go. I thought Swami won't notice, 30, 40 girls, who knows who took, who didn't take. But Swami, after this, Andar Tiskunara, he asked. Everyone nodded. Hey, he said, and looking at me, and he pointed me like this. Nervousness started. He asked me to get up and he said, Tiskunava? He asked me. I actually did this. He said, Tisko. Come on. So I had to walk out of the crowd, out of the group of girls, walk around them and reach him. That was the most humbling journey of my life, because as I walked, my defense broke down. When I reached Swami, I just put my head down on his feet and cried my heart out. I remember still today how I could feel his hand tapping on my head saying, Chalu, Chalu, enough, enough, don't cry in public. When I looked up, he asked me, he said to me, Em kavali? What do you want? And I said, Swami, I want bhakti, Swami, or something. I muttered, and Swami looked at me and he said, self-confidence undali. He said, you should have self-confidence. And he said, I said, I want purity of thoughts. This is what I asked him. And then he said to me, Ahara and Vihara create thoughts. Of course, he said it in Telugu, saying that Ahara and Vihara, Ahara is food. Vihara is the company we keep. They create thoughts in you. Don't mistake the thoughts to be you. You're deeper than that. Have self-confidence. Have self-confidence. This is something he hammered into all the children all the time. Have self-confidence. When he said self-confidence, always the higher self-confidence. Of course, it took, I don't say we 100% learn lessons, but yeah, the direction was given. And then comes the subtle way where he teaches you, breaks your wrong notions. You know, we create a lot of mistaken notions in our living. And I'm going to give you some examples of how Swami's miracles are when he breaks those stupid notions we make. I was reading in the alumni diary, they were talking about this beautiful incident where a group of students, or maybe Sevadal, I don't know who they were. They came to see Swami, and Swami said, I will call you. They were all looking forward to be called by Bhagwan, and Swami called some other people, so their hearts sank. Then he called foreigners, then their hearts sank further. And they began, and one of them began to think, you know what, Swami, you will call only wealthy people and foreigners. Why would you call people like us? You know, all these kind of, we generally don't get something, blame God first, right? So that's what he did. And Swami, after this whole thing, called them in. Now remorse filled this boy, and he told Swami, sorry. And Swami, it seems, said at that point of time, I am pure consciousness, nothing. What you think will come back manifold, so think positively. This stayed with me, this message, because this is something which we don't do, We do have closeness to God, and we can sometimes blame Him, but we must apologize if we blame Him then. And better still is not to blame Him, because He's the air we breathe. How do we blame the air we breathe? But easier said than done. But so now I'm going to tell you a personal attitude correction. Girls often ask me this question. You were there, Swami was there, you had so much proximity, it was easy for you to learn. What about people like us? We came when Swami isn't there. How do we learn all these lessons? This is the question we get all the time. The point is, God transcends time, space, and I can tell you n number of miracles that happened post leaving His physical frame. He's in fact become more limitless and more active, if you ask me. So I'll tell you one story like that. So, in the hostel we have this method which we call the mentorship. Each teacher is given 2-3 rooms to take care of. So my excited mentees came up and told me, ma'am, Swami has come to our room. Vibhuti is coming out of the photo. And, my mind is like, I hope they didn't put it. I hope this is not a thing. Anyway, I'll humor them. I went there, and part of my mind is so skeptic, and I'm trying to see, sometimes for attention, children can do things like that. So I am looking at all this, or negative thoughts, basically. And I remember Raji ma'am was with me, and both of us were looking. Raji ma'am was very happy. She was smiling end to end. And I was standing there with all my skepticism written on my face. After we were walking out from there, Raji ma'am said, Suma, why were you not so believing? And I said, I have my doubts. That's why I was just examining. And she said, no, even if it is an illusion, it's better they dream about Swami than anything else. Why can't you, encourage it? And all this kind of conversation we both were having. And we just moved into the dining hall. I mean, you all know the dining hall that we enter. Now, in our dining hall, right on the side, we have the storeroom where all the rice and other things are kept. And right up above, we have a big picture of Swami with a platform to it. And it's really high. You can't reach it until you put a ladder. So Raji ma'am went in and I went this way, and immediately I heard an urgency in a voice. She said, come back, So we both went to the photograph. Right up that photograph was, before our eyes, one speck of vibhuti came. It grew like a balloon, literally, burst, and vibhuti fell. We stood there quiet. For me, it was like a slap on my face, basically. And I learned my lesson that day. Never to question the way He comes. Does He come? He comes. He comes ever, like how Tagore says, He comes and ever comes. I can give you many more instances on how Swami corrected. Yet another deeper one was, tell me if the time is up, please tell me. I have a tendency to lose myself. Okay. So this was another incident which happened. One of my great shortcomings is temper. Mm-hmm. So we had an interview and Swami said, too much anger, he told me, looking at me. And my mom said, Swami, not Suma. Swami, Suma doesn't have anger. This younger one, no, she gets angry, you know. And Swami did this and he looked at me, no chappu, you tell. I said, yes, Swami, I do get angry. But Swami, okay, defense. When I get angry, I listen to what you say. I go to the prayer hall. I mop it from this end to that end. I work out my anger. I don't show it on anybody. I drink water. I look at my face in the mirror. You know, all this Swami said it in different discourses. So I immediately went on a defense and told him, Swami, yes, it's true, I get angry, but A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I do these things to overcome my anger. Swami gave me one long pause and he looked at me and he said, but why get angry at all? Believe me, I don't have an answer for that. He was telling me, don't give me explanations on what you do when you get angry. My question is, why do you get angry at all? And believe me, I had no answer for that, but I started reading more of discourses to know what Swami said about anger. And Swami says very clearly, anger comes from thwarted desire. When desires don't fulfill or don't go the way we want it to go, we get angry. So slowly and subtly, Swami will push you towards inner path, you know. Question, why? So what begins as something, you know, with God, what defense do we have? We should drop it actually and look at what he's trying to teach us. And this was something I learned from Swami. But did I succeed in that? Ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies. But then there's another thing which Swami does, and that is what I would say is clarifying your way of thinking. Sometimes thinking itself, thank you, sometimes thinking itself can go wrong because if you look at it in the big picture, the battle is between your own little self and God. You have to let God in. And to let God in, we have to love Him. When you love Him, you trust Him. When you trust Him, you take courage to open your heart to bigger things, to see a deeper thing, to endure the suffering. It cannot happen if you don't love. No wonder He is the Prema Avatar. Because only through love can the transformation occur. And I'm going to read out something which Swami said about this. Swami says, and I quote, just reflect on this minute, Swami says. How did man forget his divinity? How did he fall into the delusion of littleness? Then you will know that it must be the result of the mind running after momentary pleasures. What then is the remedy? The answer is just one word, worship. Do everything as worship. Yat bhavam tat bhavati. You become that which you feel. You can get the feeling for the divine only if you have a taste of prema of the divine. That is why the avatar has come to you, to give you a taste of that prema, so that the yearning for the Lord will be planted in your heart. One thing that Satya Sai institutions do teach you, but let me add one caveat here. The Satya Sai institution is direct learning, but Swami has something called distance learning. Okay? It's open university. Everyone is a member of this. Once you come to his fold, enrollment is given. And exam starts, courses start, programs start. I don't think anybody escapes this, okay? So maybe then those of us who are fully there need to learn more, I don't know, need direct attention, I do not know which way it is, but that's all it is. So there was this time when I'm talking about this emotion of prema. Swami is tough when he wants to correct you, but he's so full of love also. You know, it's a combination of that. And I always think it's a great lesson to learn that the hand that slaps you is also the hand that loves you, you know. The God who tests you is the God who loves you. And that love is greater than those smaller pains. When we were students, once I remember Swami, rarely we would get scolding from Swami, but once it happened. He came, he was very upset with us. We all were sitting. And one beauty about Swami, he doesn't want to let down his children in front of others. So he'll smile and scold. So devotees will think Swami is talking to the children, but actually one dose is going on here. Swami, all the children were sitting and Swami said, all of you, too much gossiping, too much talking, going room to room, talking, rats and rabbits, this, that. Swami's scolding will be rats and rabbits, and if he gets very angry, it becomes Tataki and Shurpanaka. But otherwise, it ranges from these two. And so he was scolding us, and the girls were crying in the first line. We were at the back, and we didn't know why they are crying, and why Swami is smiling, why are they crying, kind of thing. Later, we went back to the dormitory, and the story spread, and everyone cried. And if Swami is unhappy with you, what is the whole point of living there also? So we cried our hearts out, begging Swami to forgive us. And in the meanwhile, we didn't go for food. So the canteen sent a complaint to Swami, 500 girls didn't come for food. So warden came and scolded us further. With our tears, we went to the canteen, we ate something, and we came for darshan. Now, darshan, our heart was in our mouth. Because post-darshan, we were leaving in buses back to Anantapur. And if Swami doesn't forgive us, how are we going to live after that? Was a big question. Swami came, cut the girls straight. He went straight towards the men. He spent extraordinary amount of time with the boys, laughed and cracked jokes, and here we were drowning in a deluge of tears. And it went on. Bhajan started. Bhajan is ending. And we are hoping when he goes back to the ashram, he'll at least look at us. Slowly Aarti came, and then Swami, we don't know whether Swami will come or not, but that was, if you want intensity of prayer, you should see that, okay? 500, full strong prayer. And there is this, Krishna is there in the mandir on the side. There's a door over there. Suddenly Swami opened that door and came, because the girls were sitting there. I was right in the front there, so when I turned and Swami was there, the girls cried even louder when they saw Swami. And Swami looked at them and said, do I have the right to scold you, or I don't have the right to scold you? I don't know what to say. He said, you all didn't eat food? Oh, Swami, please, Swami, forgive us. Swami, please forgive us. We'll never talk in our life. We won't talk, Swami. Please forgive us. Please forgive us. And then Swami called for mangoes. He distributed mangoes, and he said, be good girls. Now when you go back, he said, if you don't, when he was angry, he was saying, I'll give the college to the government. I don't need children like this. All this Swami had said, so it was weighing heavily. Means everybody tells you stories of Swami being good, but please remember, Swami was both. He would pet you, but he would also discipline us. And then, of course, I remember for a month, I think after that, we couldn't hear even the footstep of the children. That is the level of silence, but like all good things, it diluted over time. But it was a deep lesson we learned. Later, when I was reading Swami's discourses, Swami, somewhere he has written this, and he says, the weak thing of girls is ear, weak sense. So they are susceptible to what comes through their ear. So gossiping disturbs the mind. The weak sense for boys is sight. And therefore Swami used to always say, look down and walk. Don't see things which disturb the mind. He is more interested in turning the mind inward and bringing the higher powers outside. So this is another story, unplanned, but it came to me. The other stories which I can tell you, So the last part which I wanted to talk to you all about is how Swami actually shapes us, to The whole purpose of the miracles is not just to correct you, not just to interact with you, not just to school you, but to make divinity a basis of our life. That is the purpose. And Swami says, can I read the last one, which I would like to read for you? I am determined to correct you only after informing you of my credentials. That is why I am now and then announcing my nature by the means of miracles, that is, acts which are beyond human capacity and human understanding. Not that I'm anxious to show off my powers. My object is to draw you closer to me, to cement your hearts to me. Getting to know me is also a part of your destiny. As a matter of fact, each one of you has to be saved. You have to escape from this net of Maya. When the opportunity comes, I shall not give you up. Even if you forsake me, for it's not in me to forsake those who deny me, I have come for all. Those who stray away will come again to me. Do not doubt this. I shall beckon them back to me. I bless you that you earn the vision of divine in this life itself and with this body itself. And this was said in 1961 in Prashantanilayam on 24th of November. The beauty of this God or avatar is that seamlessly he reaches our physical living, our emotional makeup, our psychological quirks are eased out, and constantly he prepares us for much higher knowledge. I would like to end with one last incident. I remember one interview. I used to always have this desire that Swami says that he's proud of his girls. I mean, this is a complex we live with. Believe me, it's not like a radical feminist, but the desire that Swami publicly owns up. He always owned us up, but we want this public thing. So I used to always say, Swami, one day you should say good girl. One day you should say my girls. That much. Now I feel stupid for have asked such things. But once you ask, our God has to give. So that is the problem. So it so happened, one interview, Swami, I think there was another lady, who was a politician lady, and he said, he asked us to get up, he asked my sister to get up and say, talk. She said, Swami, what should I say? She's not much of a speaker like me. I inherit that from my mother. She's taken after my father. So she said, Swami, my name is so-and-so. I study in Swami's school. My school? No, your school. Oh, Swami's school in which I studied, Swami, something she said. Then Swami, he did that. And he told me, you get up. I got up. So this is a chance in a million, okay? So I got up and said, my name is so-and-so. I studied in Swami's college, and now I'm studying so-and-so class and all that. And Swami, after many lifetimes, we have come to you. So please don't, all your prayers, you get a chance. I said it. He listened to the whole thing. Then he looked at all of the other guests. Chusara. How Swami shows off with us. Chusara, ma pillalu. My children. And as soon as he said that, I remembered that I asked him for it. I felt really ashamed that time, Avatar comes and then you'll ask for sugar candy, it's like that, right? So somewhere this is to burn in my heart that we should not ask stupid things from God. So one day he gave me an opportunity. It was an interview room, and generally my mother and my sister would sit next to Swami and press his feet, and me and my dad would sit back. That day he told me, you come here, front. He told my sisters to sit there. He told my mom and dad to come on one side. He kind of arranged people, which he never does. So we did that. And then he looked at both of us, and for a long time he looked at us, and then he said to me, I give you both new life. He said that. What a new life means can mean many things. Either he's saving us from death, new life. Or it can mean he's changing our karma, new life. He's giving us a greater gift, maybe new life, whatever it is, it is. So we were looking at him, and then he looked at me. I'll never forget that look, you know. Sometimes Swami, one thing is Swami would hardly blink. He could stare into your eyes, you know. And he was looking like that, and compassion filling into his eyes. It's like you're drowning in a sea of love, you know. And you're looking at him, and he looked at me and he said, ask. Whatever you want, ask, he said. For a minute, my mind raced like $1 million check, you know. This is like. Then I remembered, I have to ask him properly. So I said, Swami, I want devotion. He said, Amy, bhakti, Swami, I want bhakti. He said, Enduko? Why you want bhakti? I said, Swami, all your life you have to choose between your egoic self and God. If we have bhakti, I may choose God more. So give me bhakti. And he looked at me for a few seconds and he said, you chose. You already chose. Why do you need more choice? You chose the path. That's it. Inka enduku bhakti? Now I was totally confused. I don't know what to ask. So I said, Swami, you tell me what to ask and I will ask that. So then he looked at me and he said, ask for obedience. He used the English word, obedience. I still struggle with this word. I don't know what I said, Swami, please give me obedience. He put his hand on my head and blessed me and it was over. But what is obedience? I now rationalize that when you choose, bhakti is an emotional thing which makes you choose God. But you have to change. You have to align the rest of you to God. Now this requires everyday practice, everyday choice. And that's obedience. Obedience to the path. And as usual, we all know, without pass marks, we can't pass. So until God gives grace, even to believe Him, we need grace of God. So best is to depend on Him unendingly. So with that final thought, I would like to take my leave. I hope I have shared. Thank you, Sai Ram.
With heartfelt gratitude, I take this moment to thank Suma ma'am for her uplifting and insightful talk. Through her words, she not only shared her wisdom and experiences, but also helped us feel Swami's presence more deeply in our hearts. For many of us, listening to her is always special because she speaks with authenticity, warmth, and conviction of one who has truly lived by Swami's teachings. On behalf of everyone gathered here, I offer our sincere thanks to Suma ma'am for taking time and having come all the way. Thank you, ma'am. May Swami continue to bless her in her noble journey of teaching and touching lives through education and spiritual guidance. Request you to accept a small token of love and gratitude. And I request Mrs. Kalpana Balasubramaniam, State Spiritual Coordinator, to honor Suma ma'am.